Progress is a funny thing. Everyone wants it, to do better, to live better, to be better. But most never stop to ask the question, what's standing in the way? We dream of success, talk about growth, read the books, watch the videos, yet something keeps holding us back. Not the world, not luck, not the economy, but invisible enemies living quietly inside us. These enemies don't shout, they whisper. They convince you to wait a little longer, to take it easy, to try later, and before you know it, a month becomes a year and a dream becomes a regret. If you truly want to rise, if you want to create real progress in your life, you must learn to recognize and defeat these 5 enemies. Because progress isn't stolen, it's surrendered. It slips away when you tolerate the habits that sabotage your potential. So today, let's expose them. Let's drag them out into the light and face them one by one. Because the moment you identify your enemies, you begin to take back control of your destiny. This is the battle that decides who you become, and it starts now. Ignorance is not just the absence of knowledge, it is the presence of limitation. It keeps you confined within walls you cannot see, but still feel. Most people are not stopped by what they know, but by what they don't. They live in the dark corners of habit and routine, doing what they have always done because they do not know what else is possible. Progress begins the moment you decide to open your mind, to learn, to ask questions, to seek new ideas. Growth is not accidental, it is intentional. It starts with curiosity, with the hunger to understand more about life, work, and yourself. There is a danger in believing that you already know enough. The day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. Ignorance is comfortable. It never challenges you, never demands effort. It allows you to stay where you are while convincing you that it's fine. But deep inside, you know it's not. Ignorance quietly robs your potential. It blinds you to opportunity, hides the lessons in failure, and makes you fear what you don't understand. It builds invisible walls around your dreams and convinces you that those walls are reality. Knowledge is the light that breaks those walls. Every book you read, every mentor you listen to, every moment you spend learning, it's all part of building a better version of yourself. The mind must be stretched beyond comfort, otherwise it becomes a cage. Once you know more, you start to see more. You begin to understand that success is not luck or mystery. It is the result of applied understanding. Life rewards those who prepare for it, and preparation always begins with learning. The truth is, ignorance costs more than education ever will. It costs missed chances, lost relationships, wasted time, and unrealized dreams. The price of not knowing is paid in regret. The one who refuses to learn today pays with a smaller tomorrow. But the one who seeks wisdom expands their possibilities. Learning is not something you finish when school ends, it's something you live. It should be part of your daily routine, as natural as breathing. A single idea can change the course of your life, but only if you are searching for it. Ignorance also feeds arrogance. Those who know little often act like they know it all. They reject advice, dismiss new perspectives, and defend their limitations. They protect their pride at the expense of progress. But wisdom requires humility. It begins when you admit that you don't know everything and that there is always something new to learn. The most successful people are not those who have all the answers, but those who keep asking better questions. Every day is an opportunity to defeat ignorance a little more. Listen to those who have walked further than you. Read from those who have seen more than you. Experience what challenges you. Learn not only from success, but also from failure. When you know better, you do better. Growth does not come from doing more of the same. It comes from seeing more possibilities. Knowledge gives you choices, and choices give you freedom. Ignorance is the first enemy of progress because it locks the door to every other achievement. Once you defeat it, every part of your life begins to move forward. The person you become tomorrow depends on what you choose to learn today. So never stop seeking, never stop questioning, never stop growing. Light the fire of curiosity within you and keep feeding it every day. For the mind that refuses to stay ignorant is the mind that will never stop rising. Indifference is the quiet killer of progress. It does not shout or make a scene. It simply whispers. Doesn't matter. The truth is, Nothing great has ever been built by someone who was indifferent. Progress requires heart. It demands energy. It thrives on passion. The moment you stop caring, you start losing. Life responds to the level of intensity you bring to it. When your desire fades, so does your potential. Indifference is a slow fade from purpose to passivity, from hunger to habit, from dreams to dust. It makes you settle for less when you were designed for more. Most people are not destroyed by failure, they are destroyed by apathy. They wake up, go through the motions, repeat yesterday and call it life. There is no fire left in their words, no conviction in their choices. They have convinced themselves that mediocrity is safety. But safety is an illusion. The longer you stay indifferent, the smaller your world becomes. You stop noticing opportunities because you no longer believe they are meant for you. You stop pushing forward because comfort feels easier. You stop trying because you've convinced yourself that trying doesn't matter. But everything matters. Every decision, every effort, every moment of belief or disbelief shapes the quality of your life. Progress begins when you care again, when you care enough to change, to move, to try. The greatest power you possess is the ability to choose what matters to you. When you care deeply about something, you bring it to life. Energy follows emotion. If you want to succeed, you must first feel something powerful about your goal. You must want it so badly that indifference can no longer survive in your presence. When passion returns, excuses disappear. The person who cares deeply finds a way, the one who doesn't finds a reason not to. Indifference often hides behind phrases like, "It's fine," or "maybe later." But later becomes never and fine becomes failure. You cannot grow from a neutral state. You must choose a direction, forward or backward, growth or decay. Every great achievement in history was fueled by emotion, the determination to rise, the anger at limitation, the vision of a better tomorrow. Nothing changes until you care enough to make it change. When you truly care, your actions follow naturally. You become consistent, resilient, creative. You stop waiting for motivation because your purpose becomes your fuel. Indifference asks, "Why bother?" While passion declares, "I must." That difference defines the outcome of your life. People who care deeply about their future never settle for average. They demand more from themselves, not because they have to, because they want to. Sometimes indifference comes from disappointment. You tried once, got hurt, failed, or were misunderstood, so you built a wall around your enthusiasm. But that wall protects your pain more than your potential. Caring again may feel risky, but not caring is a guaranteed loss. Passion is what revives the spirit, reignites belief, and makes life meaningful again. When you find something worth caring about, you find a reason to wake up early, to keep going when it's hard, to push through when you could quit. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one is not talent or luck, it is the depth of care. When you decide to care again, everything begins to shift. You notice possibilities that were once invisible, you attract people who share your drive, you inspire others to care too. Progress does not start with ability, it starts with emotion. The heart must move first before the body follows. Indifference is the second enemy of progress because it numbs your soul. It makes you watch life instead of live it. The moment you decide that your dreams matter again, you reclaim your power. So care deeply, give fully, live passionately. Because the person who truly cares cannot be stopped. Indecision is the silent thief that steals time, momentum, and opportunity. It keeps people stuck in the same place year after year, not because they lack potential, but because they cannot choose a direction. Every day presents choices that shape the future, yet so many hesitate. They analyze every option, waiting for a perfect moment that never arrives. Progress belongs to those who decide, even when they are unsure. The act of deciding moves life forward, while hesitation keeps it frozen. The truth is, most people already know what they should do. Deep down, the answer has been whispering inside them for a long time. But fear disguises itself as logic. It says, "What if I fail?" Or, "What if it's not the right time?" So they postpone action thinking they're being careful, when in reality, they're letting indecision steal their dreams. Life does not reward those who wait for certainty. It rewards those who take steps in faith. A wrong decision can be corrected, but no decision leaves you stuck in regret. Every missed opportunity is the result of waiting too long to begin. Indecision feels safe because it avoids immediate risk. You can't fail if you don't act, right? But what people forget is that not acting is also a decision. It's a choice to let life happen instead of shaping it. Every time you delay, you lose momentum. Momentum is precious. It's the energy that builds confidence and opens doors. Once you hesitate too often, hesitation becomes a habit. That habit turns into stagnation, and stagnation turns into frustration. You begin to feel trapped, not because you can't move, but because you keep choosing not to. Progress requires movement. Even a small step forward creates clarity. When you decide, you tell the universe, I'm ready. Life responds to boldness. The moment you commit, resources appear, people show up, and the path begins to unfold. Waiting for everything to be perfect is a myth. Nothing is ever completely certain. Growth comes from acting, learning, and adjusting. Each decision sharpens your judgment and strengthens your confidence. You become wiser not by thinking about choices, but by living through them. The most successful people are not always the smartest. They are the most decisive. They make choices, take responsibility, and move forward quickly. They understand that indecision drains energy faster than failure ever could. Failure teaches lessons, but indecision teaches nothing. It keeps you stuck between possibilities, living in the what ifs instead of what's next. Every dream requires courage to choose. Whether it's starting a business, changing careers, or improving your health, progress begins the moment you say yes to action. Indecision is often rooted in fear of judgment. You worry about what others will think if you make the wrong move. But the truth is, people are too busy living their own lives to care about your choices. The only person who lives with your hesitation is you. When you delay too long, opportunities pass, relationships fade, and enthusiasm dies. One decision made today can open more doors than 100 ideas left undecided. Life rewards direction, not hesitation. To defeat indecision, you must practice making choices daily. Start small, build trust in your own judgment, and remind yourself that progress is messy but necessary. Each step forward reveals the next one. Waiting for perfect clarity is like waiting for the wind to stop before setting sail. You'll never leave the shore. Decide, act, learn, and grow. The road becomes visible only to those who start walking. Indecision is the third enemy of progress because it keeps your potential locked away. You have the power to create change, but that power activates only when you decide. The greatest loss is not from making a wrong decision, but from never making one at all. Choose today. Choose progress. Choose to move forward even if the path is unclear, because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. Doubt is the quiet voice that lives inside every dreamer, whispering reasons to stay where they are. It never shouts, yet its influence is powerful enough to stop a person from taking a single step forward. Doubt tells you that you are not ready, that you don't have enough, that others are more qualified. It makes you question your potential, your plan, even your purpose. The danger of doubt is that it sounds reasonable. It convinces you that hesitation is wisdom, when in truth it is fear dressed as logic. Every person who ever accomplished something meaningful faced that same voice, but they chose to act in faith rather than listen to doubt. Progress is built on belief. Before anything great happens in the world, it first happens in the mind of someone who believes it can. Doubt poisons that belief. It keeps you looking at your weaknesses instead of your strengths, your failures instead of your lessons. It tells you that others are lucky while you are left behind. It turns small obstacles into impossible walls. Once you believe its lies, you start shrinking your goals to fit your comfort zone. You begin to play safe to protect yourself from disappointment, but what you're really doing is protecting yourself from growth. The truth is that nobody ever feels completely ready. Confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you create through action. Each time you take a step forward despite fear, you weaken doubt's power. You build evidence that you can handle more than you thought. The only cure for doubt is movement. Faith is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the courage to move forward in spite of it. When you act, even imperfectly, your results begin to replace your worries. You start to see that you are capable, that progress is possible, that your effort matters. Doubt thrives in stillness. When you do nothing, your mind fills the silence with questions that have no answers. It imagines failure long before it happens. It tells stories of what could go wrong until those stories feel like truth. But once you move, your focus shifts. Action interrupts fear. Every task completed, every challenge faced, every step taken gives your mind something real to focus on. Progress silences the voice of doubt because it proves that the impossible was only imagined. People often wait for confidence before starting, but confidence comes from starting. The great achievers of the world were not born fearless. They simply learned to trust the process more than their feelings. They understood that fear is temporary, but regret is permanent. They knew that doubt fades when faced with evidence of progress. You must train your mind to believe in possibility. Speak life into your goals. Remind yourself that doubt has no power unless you feed it with attention. Every time you choose courage, you take away a little more of its strength. Doubt also grows in environments where negativity thrives. Surround yourself with people who believe in progress, who see potential instead of problems. Listen to voices that inspire action, not hesitation. Your surroundings shape your mindset. When you spend time with believers, you begin to believe more. When you expose yourself to hope, you naturally start to rise above fear. The energy of faith is contagious, just like the energy of doubt. Choose your influences carefully. The fourth enemy of progress lives inside your thoughts. It tries to convince you that safety is better than success. But life is not meant to be lived in hesitation. You have dreams for a reason. The same energy that created those dreams can bring them to life if you dare to trust it. Replace doubt with determination, fear with faith, hesitation with action. Once you believe that you are capable, everything begins to change. The moment you stop listening to doubt is the moment your true journey begins. Worry is one of the most exhausting habits a person can carry. It drains energy, steals focus, and replaces creativity with fear. It convinces you that something terrible is always waiting just around the corner. The mind becomes trapped in a loop of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Worry uses your imagination to build pictures of failure instead of visions of success. It is the misuse of a powerful gift, the ability to think ahead. Instead of planning, you panic. Instead of believing, you brace for disaster. Progress cannot exist in a heart consumed by worry because worry paralyzes action. It keeps you preparing for storms that never come. The truth is, worry changes nothing except your peace of mind. It cannot control the outcome, but it can control you. It can make you restless, distracted, and unsure of yourself. It can take away the joy of today while promising safety tomorrow, a promise it never keeps. The things you fear most rarely happen. Yet by worrying about them, you live them twice. Once in your imagination and again in your anxiety. You begin to fight battles that only exist in your mind, battles that leave you tired but unchanged. Progress requires focus. Focus grows in calmness, not chaos. When you worry, your mind is divided. Half of it is trying to move forward, while the other half is trying to protect you from imaginary danger. That split creates hesitation. You second-guess your plans, question your choices, and start shrinking your goals to match your comfort. Worry tells you to play it safe, to avoid risk, to slow down. But safety is often the greatest risk of all. The more you worry about losing, the less you try to win. The solution to worry is not pretending that problems do not exist. It is learning to think differently about them. Worry looks at challenges and sees fear. Wisdom looks at challenges and sees growth. The same situation that causes one person to panic can cause another to prepare. The difference is mindset. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control how you respond. Choose to use your mind for solutions rather than predictions of disaster. When you face uncertainty, ask, "What can I do right now?" That question brings power back to the present. Life will always have unknowns. You will never have every answer or every guarantee. But faith means trusting that you can handle whatever comes. It is not blind hope. It is calm confidence built on experience. You have already survived moments that once terrified you. You have faced storms and made it through. That is proof that you are capable of more than your fears suggest. Every time you overcome a challenge, you grow stronger. Every time you act despite worry, you teach your mind that peace is possible. Worry also thrives in isolation. When you keep your fears to yourself, they grow louder. Sharing them with someone who brings perspective can silence the noise. Speak your worries out loud, write them down, or pray about them. Once they leave your mind, they begin to lose their grip. Perspective is the enemy of panic. When you see your challenges from a higher viewpoint, they become smaller. The fifth enemy of progress is worry because it keeps you busy but never productive. It fills your mind with motion but no movement. To defeat it, redirect your imagination toward faith, hope, and purpose. Picture success, visualize peace, and speak possibility. Train your thoughts to serve you, not scare you. When you choose calm over chaos, solutions appear, doors open, and progress returns. The person who learns to quiet their worries gains the strength to focus fully on what matters. Once worry loses its power, nothing can hold you back from the future you are meant to build. Neglect is one of the most dangerous enemies of progress because it never seems harmful at first. It starts small, with little compromises that feel harmless. You skip one task, delay one goal, ignore one routine, and tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month, and eventually your discipline begins to fade. Neglect does not destroy success overnight. It erodes it quietly, one missed effort at a time. The tragedy of neglect is that it never feels urgent until the damage is already done. Success is built on consistency. The habits you repeat daily are the foundation of your future. When you neglect those habits, the foundation begins to crack. People often think failure happens suddenly, but it doesn't. It happens slowly beneath the surface where neglect lies. Every day that you ignore your priorities, you move one step further from your potential. The body weakens when you neglect exercise. The mind dulls when you neglect learning. Relationships fade when you neglect attention. Dreams die when you neglect action. Everything of value in life demands maintenance, effort, and care. Neglect feeds on excuses. It whispers that skipping one day will not matter, that you can always catch up later. But one day of neglect becomes two, and soon momentum is gone. Progress depends on momentum. Once you lose it, starting again becomes harder each time. The longer you delay, the heavier the task feels. Neglect convinces you that small things do not matter. Yet success is made of small things done faithfully. A daily commitment, a consistent routine, a little effort repeated over time, that is how growth happens. The truth is that discipline feels difficult, but neglect feels easy only at first. Over time, neglect becomes painful. It creates guilt, regret, and lost confidence. You start to look back and realize that every missed opportunity was once a small act of neglect. You can rebuild what you lost, but it requires more effort than staying consistent would have. That is the hidden cost of neglect. It always demands a higher price later. The price for discipline is small, but the price for neglect is enormous. To defeat neglect, you must value the present moment. The most important time is always now. You cannot fix yesterday, but you can prevent today from becoming another missed chance. Progress happens in the small decisions you make daily. When you choose effort over ease, focus over distraction, responsibility over delay, you reclaim control of your future. Greatness is never the result of one big action. It is the sum of small actions repeated without interruption. Neglect grows in environments where standards are lowered. When you start accepting less from yourself, neglect finds room to thrive. Keep your standards high, even when no one is watching. Excellence is not a performance for others. It is a promise you make to yourself. Be faithful to that promise. When you show up every day, even on the days you don't feel like it, you build strength. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation of confidence. The sixth enemy of progress, neglect, teaches a hard truth. What you ignore will eventually cost you. Every area of your life is either improving through attention or declining through neglect. You are always moving in one direction or the other. There is no standing still. The good news is that the moment you choose awareness, the moment you decide to act again, progress returns. Start small, but start now. Restore the habits that build your strength. Protect your consistency like treasure because it is the key to every goal. Success is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things regularly. Defeat neglect by showing up daily, giving your best effort, and refusing to let small slips turn into permanent habits. Once you do, growth becomes inevitable. Complacency is the most deceptive enemy of progress because it disguises itself as satisfaction. It tells you that you have done enough, achieved enough, or learned enough. It makes you comfortable with where you are while quietly robbing you of where you could go. Many people stop growing not because they fail, but because they succeed a little and decide it's enough. They stop pushing, stop learning, and stop stretching. What once was ambition becomes routine. What once was passion becomes comfort. Progress stops the moment you start protecting your comfort more than your purpose. Complacency whispers that you deserve to rest, that you can slow down because you've already made it further than most. It flatters you into standing still. But the truth is, life does not stay still. The world keeps moving, opportunities keep changing, and growth keeps demanding effort. When you stop evolving, you begin to fall behind, even if you cannot see it yet. Success can be dangerous when it makes you forget the hunger that built it. The same habits that brought you this far must be strengthened, not abandoned. You cannot win tomorrow with yesterday's effort. Complacency also hides behind pride. Once you start believing that you have nothing left to learn, you begin to lose what you once mastered. Pride makes you resistant to feedback, blind to new ideas, and unwilling to change. It turns confidence into arrogance and progress into stagnation. The best people in any field remain students no matter how skilled they become. They stay curious, open, and humble. The moment you stop asking questions, your growth begins to decay. Comfort is seductive. It feels safe, easy, and peaceful. But comfort is also the breeding ground of decline. Every person who stops challenging themselves begins to drift backward. Success requires the same energy to maintain as it did to build. The human spirit was not designed to live in ease. It was built to pursue, to create, to reach. Without challenge, the spirit weakens. Without new goals, passion fades. You cannot feel alive while standing still. The satisfaction of yesterday cannot sustain the hunger of today. To defeat complacency, you must keep raising your standards. Never let achievement become your finish line. Let it be your new starting point. When you reach one level, immediately begin reaching for the next. Growth does not mean rejecting what you have accomplished. It means honoring it by building upon it. The key is gratitude without stagnation. Be thankful for how far you've come, but stay hungry for what's next. That balance keeps your spirit alive and your progress unstoppable. Complacency thrives in routine that lacks reflection. When days blur together and goals lose meaning, it's easy to drift into autopilot. To avoid that, take time to reflect on your purpose. Ask yourself often whether you are still growing, still learning, still improving. The honest answer will reveal whether you're moving forward or standing still. When you feel too comfortable, do something that challenges you. Step into the unfamiliar. Growth always lies outside the borders of comfort. The seventh enemy of progress is dangerous because it feels harmless. It doesn't scare you like fear or drain you like worry. It simply quiets your ambition. But the cost of complacency is potential unrealized. Life will only give as much as you are willing to pursue. Keep your hunger alive, your goals fresh, and your standards high. Stay curious about what more you can become. The person who refuses to settle will always find a new mountain to climb. The reward for defeating complacency is not just more success. It is the feeling of being fully alive, always growing, always reaching, always moving forward.